prefer to come down here, if you all don't mind. I gotta say, listening to each and every story here today is truly heartbreaking. To hear a veteran, several veterans, who have been so betrayed by those who swore an oath to uphold and defend our Constitution, which protects our rights. I can't even tell you how deeply violated I feel, and I know that you feel. And I want you to know that even if I leave before I hear the details of your story, we will hear your story. I have staff here who will take and make sure that you have a way to contact us and give us the details. But there's a thread through all of it where we've got the thing wrong. We've got the financial incentives with separating families. We've got the financial incentives set up to reward the workforce of CPS over the welfare of our children. And I think that is clear, it's crystal clear in so many stories, and so many of you from all walks of life, and it's amazing, have expressed it in ways that were crystal clear. And I love the idea of a committee being started to put ideas forth, because I've been holding these hearings across the state, and they're hearings because I want to hear you. That's why I'm sitting here listening, and I regret that I have to take up any of your time to speak, because it's so important that you be heard, and I know so many of you have lost hope. I want you to know, I don't know what we can do,
Excuse me, sir.
but whatever it is,
You're bringing back that hope. You are.
Just
You were the
being
first
there
person to
is
hear us.
bringing hope, sir. You're the only one that listens to us.
Yes.
Because no one else will listen to us.
well, I had a mother who was 4'11". My dad was 6'4". I'm one of 14 children. And my mom was a fighter. She was sort of the Winston Churchill of our family. And I believe that you never, ever, 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 ever back down.
Never.
And I intend to reform this agency, but I didn't want to just trust what the auditor tells me. Because I don't believe that the state auditor is going to hear enough stories. I believe that a lot of the evidence will be hidden.
Yes.
But I do believe that I have heard the truth as I have traveled around this state. And sometimes the truth is very, very painful. And sometimes it's ugly. But we have to start with that. And what I have seen is that this agency needs to be severely reformed, almost to the point of complete elimination.
Yes.
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 So that,
Oversight.
Yes.
okay, you can clap. And they need to have absolute oversight because we give them so much power. They have absolute power. We need to have a certain amount of power to rescue children from imminent
Yes.
danger.
Yes.
But they shouldn't be involved in the cases and in lives
Yes.
where there's dirty dishes. The dirty dish patrol is what I called it.
Yeah.
You know, when I spoke the other day at Berkeley,
Get those cleaned up, sir.
I was in the poli-sci class at Berkeley, and I was talking about the kidnapping of baby Sammy. And the entire audience were listening and so intent. And later I received a communication from a young man who had been separated from his real family along with his siblings by CPS, and he was in that audience and is now one of us, who is out there working and fighting and was so appreciative to have a voice. I don't know if he was a Republican or a Democrat, because it doesn't matter. Because this issue is about whether or not you're an American, and whether or not you believe the government should protect your rights instead of infringe them. And your rights extend to your children, because God gave children to the parents, not to the state. And so I want you to know that the package of reforms that I intend to bring are going to reflect your voice. If you have a specific idea that was not mentioned here, if in any way you have a short summary that you could get to my staff, my staffer is in the back there, Richard, and I've also got Mark over here. And my office is easy to reach. We're right in the Capitol, and we have several people who are working on this full time. We want to get the information. We need a certain amount of it. Don't overload us with too much detail at the beginning. Get us a one-page summary of what the issue is and what your reform is, because that is critically important that we know that. Yes, sir.
What reform are you trying to work on just besides CPS? What about adoption? Unethical adoption.
That's a good question. I'm looking at this whole conundrum because the more I learn about it, the more disturbed I am. So you don't just have CPS, then you have foster care. And 60%, in LA County, 60% of the girls that are sexually trafficked are in foster care. We heard the very first story here today was about a young 13-year-old girl who was trafficked while in foster care. In Texas, you guys all heard the case that there was a couple of parents that were smoking dope, and the government took their child, 2-year-old child, and the child was murdered by the foster mother within 2 weeks.
Right.
And I've reached out to Governor Perry's office and am having conversations with his staff so that he understands how serious this issue is. I don't think they get that in Texas. But this is an issue that is something that is a problem across the country. I have heard from people around the world on this. It is that serious. Because what we've done is we have allowed the government to interfere in our lives.
Correct.
When they don't belong there at all. When we have done nothing wrong. We've committed no crime. And the bottom line is we have habeas corpus rights. We have the right to know what we're going to be charged with. Once you go into this court, you have no more rights. There's no protections. And so everybody becomes guilty. And I've seen the emotional breakdown of just being able to be in a place where you could say, hey, you know what? I'm not alone. There's a whole lot of people that feel this way. And so
it's sad when you feel alone and you meet everyone in this room, or many of these women, and I have male friends too, have met through this ugly process. You know, through this corruption, through this mess.
Where people that wish we never met each other.
Don't, you would have never met them before, and still people don't believe you.
I would just like to interject the fact that, as this lady announced, you are allowed to report. It is your right to report. However, if you record in a courtroom, the judge will hold you in contempt.
And there are no transcripts in family court
and put in jail.
Right.
well, I believe that there are specific reforms that we can bring that will involve protections for the children and the adults in the process, and open up those who are perpetuating these crimes to responsibility for them. And I think that is critically important. And I want to tell you that I am absolutely committed to see the reforms through to the end. If they want to stop me, they're going to have to take me out. And I know that God has my back. And I know that all of you all do. So thank you. God bless you. I'm going to give you the microphone because you wanted to say something.
Yes, I did.